Welcome to Housing Talk with Sharonica Outlaw and John Ferrera. I'm your host, Sharonica Outlaw, and I'm a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway. I service Hudson Valley and all of New York areas. Now, John, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, John Ferrara here with ASAP Mortgage. I've been providing the most personalized, competitive mortgage experience for my buyers and homeowners for over 2 decades in New York, Connecticut, and Florida. And buying a home is probably one of the most important investments that you'll make in a lifetime. Whether it's an investment or personal, we're here to educate you and help you make some sound decisions.
Now, Greg, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to become a home inspector?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I do appreciate the opportunity. I'm Greg Stemkowski. I'm the owner and lead inspector of Hudson Rose Home Inspections. We do residential commercial inspections for buyers and sellers. We also do maintenance management for homeowners and property investors. I've been in this field for 2.5 years. I was going through a career change and had really wanted to be an electrician and was starting on that path until I realized that the time investment to be independent as an electrician was kind of a longer arc than I had time for. 6 years of training and apprenticeship was not in my life calendar. So I got into home inspecting instead, so I can get it actually put me in each field, like a little bit of electricity, plumbing, structure, etc. So I got exposed to a little bit of everything, and it was a wise move ultimately.
Great, glad to hear that.
Very nice. Hey Greg, so at what stage of the buying process should a buyer call you to set up the inspection?
Sure. So I guess I'm a little bit different in the sense that I'd like to meet my clients as early on in the process as possible. A lot of times I get a call 2 or 3 days before at most of somebody needing an inspection, and it doesn't give me much time to get to know the client and what they're looking for and their temperament and their expectations. So if a real estate agent or another person that's working with a client can introduce me early, I just like to kind of get a sense of their personality and exactly find ways that I could help them along the way. Maybe there's some things out there that they have questions about, which would direct them towards one house over another in terms of home maintenance or their ongoing budget, and that's something I could help with. So the sooner the better. And I'm always happy to talk on the phone or even meet in person before the inspection just to go over a few things as a courtesy to the client.
Perfect. Now, can you walk us through your process when you start an inspection? How does that actually work?
Sure. Well, like I said, I like to meet the client as early as possible, and I also then take that time, particularly if they've already identified the house, to do a little bit of research. First, start with the listing on Zillow or Redfin or MLS, and I also gives me an opportunity to take a look at the county records and just see if there's any other information. New York also has a new seller disclosure law, so getting the chance to get that document in advance is also something that helps me identify how we're going to handle the inspection. So once we actually start the inspection process, I'll sit with the client and we'll talk about what type of testing they need based on the type of house that it is, or maybe they have particular concerns about environmentals like air quality or water quality. So we'll craft the inspection around both the house and what it is that the client has a preference for, and then we go through the entire house. I do like it when people join. I like to explain things as we go along, and it's as thorough as it could be. And once that process is over, then we set up secondary inspections or any follow-ups as needed for a particular house.
Very good. So, from the time you go out to the house, approximately how long should a buyer expect an average inspection to take?
Sure. I always say the average is 2.5 hours, but it is very, very difficult to predict exactly what you're walking into in a house just from looking at the listing, which of course is that the listing is meant to make the house look as best as it could possibly look. So
Absolutely.
there's no way to know what you're walking into. But 2.5 hours is the average. However, I've been in a 6,000 square foot house that took me 2 hours, and I've been in a 950 square foot house that took me 4 hours. So there really is no guessing what it's going to be. But it's usually in that 2.5 hour mark, plus a little extra time to kind of explain everything to the client in person rather than just after the fact through the report.
Yeah, I would think the condition of the property plays a big role in that as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's not always a guarantee, but sometimes the larger houses are, much more well maintained, where the smaller, like a 950 square foot house, typically they don't build those new anymore. So that generally means that it's, could be over 100 years old, which means that there's going to be a lot more to write about.
Makes sense. Now, does anybody need to be at the inspection besides yourself?
Oh, I would definitely like to have the client there with me. So some people aren't aware that they could and should be at the inspection, and 100% I like to have the client on board. Typically, the owner is not supposed to be there. I'd say that they are about 20% of the time, but I just use that to my advantage, and there is usually something that I can't figure out or requires further research or inquiry with the seller after the inspection. So if they're there, I just try to take that extra step and just ask them, what the history of a particular item is, or ask them about particular repairs. So I do take advantage. And some buyers bring a cohort of family and agents and everything, and I absolutely don't mind. More minds working on something together is good, in my opinion. And sometimes somebody will spot something that's difficult to see, or look at something in a different way, or they have experience in a particular field, and I totally take advantage.
Well, the parents are welcome to stay home if they like. They don't have
Unless
to come to the inspection.
unless they're a professional electrician or some advanced contractor that I can
All
use.
parents are some kind
Yeah.
of a contractor, you
That's
know,
true. That's true.
cabinet maker. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and
Fair
Greg,
enough.
how do we get that 20% to a 0% with the home
Yeah.
buyers not being there?
Yeah. I guess I could offer a discount if they bring as few people as possible, I guess.
Phenomenal.
Good. So what should a buyer expect to pay for an average, for an average home inspection?
Sure,
And
yeah.
and what are the different levels of inspections? Kind of like break
Sure.
that down for us.
Well, like I said, it is definitely difficult to predict time and exactly what an inspection is going to take in advance. I did try doing that for a while, where I would use the listing to really get a sense of what something was going to take. But since it is too difficult to predict, a single family home starts around $500, and then the only change would be for square footage. So there's additional charges on a sliding scale for additional square footage. And then the only other thing that would cost additional money would be particular testing. So radon or water, mold, termite, or septic inspections would be something that would be an additional charge. But 500 and up based on square footage, additional testing, and then of course condos, townhouses, co-ops, mobile homes are all range from about 3 to 500.
Fair
That's
enough.
not too bad. Now, are you certified to perform wood destroying insect, termites, carpenter, ants, etc.? Are you certified for those?
So Hudson Rose Home Inspection has a network of inspectors. So I have two partners that I use almost weekly for some of the advanced testing, air quality, mold, termite, and septic. So if anybody reaches out to me or reaches out to Hudson Rose, we will coordinate any inspectors up to and including advanced inspections for a particular problem. So I'll reach out to a well service contractor if you need advanced well testing, or a water remediator, or an asbestos tester. So one way or another, we do handle everything in-house. Personally, I am not handling the wood destroying organism inspections myself, but my partner handles them for me. And we also get the benefit of having two inspectors looking at the same house and get that second set of eyes on things.
Excellent.
Well, we know that our clients are covered, when they call you either way. So that's good.
100%.
Now, what happens, Greg, if there's you see any kind of structural damage or, leaks in the roof, things, like major stuff? What happens
Sure.
then?
Well, so the basic thing to understand about a home inspection, as home inspectors are the like kind of the jack of all trades, our job is to spot an issue and recommend the appropriate professional to make a further assessment. So some things are easy enough, they're maintenance items or they're mostly cosmetic, and we can kind of make a recommendation as to what to do. But you mentioned structural damage. If there was any indication of structural damage, say step cracking in a foundation or cracking in drywall on the interior or a bulging foundation, we would just recommend a structural engineer. So a structural engineer will come to do an additional brief inspection and basically say, it's fine, it's fixable, but it's minor, or it's fixable, but it's major. And then based on what that engineer said about a structural problem, then we can make further recommendations from there. But essentially, my job is to get the client the right professional for the more complicated problems.
Yeah, and that's going to help them make a decision whether or
Mhm.
not it's something they can take on or, they're going to walk away from it.
Exactly. And some things look really scary, and sometimes it sounds scary to say I need a structural engineer.
Yeah,
But it turns out that it's actually, a not necessarily a simple fix, but maybe it's only a few $1,000s as opposed to, a rebuild of a foundation or something like that. So it's always
right.
good to get that next level professional opinion.
Makes
Good.
sense. Now, with our careers or anyone's career, I'm pretty sure, you've had some funny moments that have happened on your job. So tell us a little tell us a little funny story about one of your inspections and something that you may have found on the job.
Sure. Yeah. I realize as you said that, I realized that I should be keeping a journal because I'm forgetting stuff and I should write it down and have like a highlight reel or something. But there, I was in one house in Orange County that was a very strange layout. I think it was 7,000 square feet, sprawling house, looked like several additions. It had been abandoned for a while. There was no power, no water. Mold was building up. But as I'm walking around the house, there's bars and there's like a huge dining room with tables, like almost like it was like a hotel. There was an indoor swimming pool with a bar in the swimming pool, and I said, what kind of house? Who used to live here? And the real estate agent said that it was a witness, a mafia witness from the 1970s that was in the witness relocation program. He was living up in the woods in Orange County or somewhere around Middletown and had built this like sprawling complex for himself and to host parties and friends and everything. And it was a bizarre house, and that was a bizarre story. I don't know who it was, but I was just
Maybe we don't
wondering.
want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It's probably better off, but I was wondering if I was going to trip over, a body or something.
Hysterical.
Yeah.
So, Greg, I appreciate you stopping in with us today. Some great information.
Yeah.
How can everybody reach you?
Sure. I just launched a redesigned website. I still have some more content I'm producing and looking to add soon, but the best way is hudsonrosellc.com. You can get a overview of all the different types of services, all the additional testing that I can do, and just kind of get a sense of me and my approach and my process for not only looking at the house, but taking care of a client like through the time that they own the home. That's one thing that I want to stress, and I hope my website makes that impression, is that I don't just walk away once the inspection's done. I like to help the client through the closing, and I would hope that I would be the go-to call when that client became a homeowner for the time that they were in the house. So that phone calls, emails, any maintenance advice is always free for the life that a client owns the house, and I encourage them to call for advice or referrals. But HudsonRoseLLC.com is the best way to get in touch.
Perfect. Do you have a phone number that you would like to include?
Sure, 845-663 6181. So 845-663-6181. It's on my website, and it is my personal cell. I used to have two numbers, but it just became a kind of a nuisance because I just wanted to have a direct connection with my clients. So people can call, text, or whatever they're comfortable with to get in touch with me right away.
Perfect. Well, we're glad that we had you today. That's for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Anytime. Now, this concludes today's session of Housing Talk with special guest Greg Stemkowski. Excuse me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on your post notifications for a new episode of John and Sharonica every Friday with Housing Talk.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for checking in. Check us out Friday night, 6 p.m. for more education. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.